Also mentioned, essentially the GST Council in its meeting over the weekend and on Saturday specifically deferred any decision on giving relief on service tax, on GST on services in insurance products, whether it's life or health or in any category at all. This was something which was being expected, was being built in, which is why you might see a sentimental downside in all insurance companies that are listed. But apart from that, let's take a look at some of the stocks that might be in focus. And the first on my watch list is Larsen & Toubro. This is a pretty big order, which is why I think this will see a thumbs up and maybe some reaction as well. The Ministry of Defence has signed a 7,629 crore contract for the K9 Vajra T self-propelled tracked artillery gun for the Indian Army. So Larsen & Toubro is basically going to be providing these ammunitions and artillery to the Indian Army. The project will generate employment of over 9 lakh man-days. Overall project period is of 4 years. But I think the important figure that stands out is the 7,629 crores, which is the size of the project over 4 years. So thumbs up for Larsen & Toubro. InterArc Building is the other one that I've picked. They have projected a 50% growth in North India for FY 25-26. So that bullish stance from management might see a bit of a bump up today on the stock. Most of this growth, they say, comes from Uttar Pradesh, and the North region is expected to contribute 30% to overall volume. So that's why InterArc on my list. The other one is JBM Auto. Its subsidiary has a joint venture, and its joint venture has awarded new contracts as a bus operator. This includes maintenance of 343 electric buses. This is for Ahmedabad, the Ahmedabad BRTS and MTS. That's the local transport services. The order is under gross cost contracting, and some leading corporates are part of it as well. Just to go through some of those IPOs that you talked about, Neeraj, because I think that's one big factor we need to look at, and the ones which are opening. Transrail and which are ongoing actually. Transrail was subscribed 5.31 times on day 2. DAM Capital was subscribed 6.98 times on day 2. Mamata Machinery was subscribed close to 38 times on day 2. Sanathan Textiles was subscribed 1.43 times on day 2, and it's day 3 for all of these. Concord Enviro was subscribed 1.24 times on day 2, and Carraro India was subscribed 0.09 times on day 1. Ventive also opened last week at the end of the week. It has been subscribed 0.71 times on day 1, and Sonoros Pharma is subscribed 1.78 times on day 1. And then, of course, the new one that opens today that Neeraj mentioned, Unimech Aero. Its price band is set from 745 to 785 rupees per share. The size of the IPO is about 500 crores, out of which 250 crores is an offer for sale.
Yeah, Mamata Machinery is taken by surprise. 37 times is hot, Tamanna, on day 2.
Yeah. That's the one everyone's talking about. Mamata Machinery and what's going on there.
Yeah, should be very interesting to watch. So, okay. So, that's the first set of stocks. Now, on my list, the top 3 names, and I will watch out first for Vedanta. Vedanta has announced revisions to its previously proposed demerger scheme. Will retain the base metals company within Vedanta Limited, and it plans to complete this demerger process in Jan 25 with share entitlement ratio 1:1 for all its companies. Remember, for Vedanta, this was perceived to be the big thing. Now that there is street senses that it will be an inch closer to this, maybe, just maybe, the recent sell-off market-led, Vedanta might see some buying into it as well. So do keep an eye out for Vedanta in the session today and over the next few days. Could be very interesting to watch out for. Tamanna spoke about an order win for Larsen & Toubro. I'm going to speak about an order win for Sterling & Wilson. Has secured a new order worth 1,200 crores for a 500 megawatt BOS project in Gujarat. Now this contract, interestingly, is from an existing client, but it's also accompanied with an O&M, the maintenance, operation and maintenance contract for 3 years. Remember, viewers, O&M contracts or operation and maintenance contracts have a higher margin. Companies like Suzlon, for example, do not take just plain vanilla installation contract. They also want O&M because O&M is annuity revenue, there is visibility, so on and so forth. So this one has an O&M contract for 3 years as well. The current order book of Sterling & Wilson as a result stands at 12,250 versus 8,080 in FY24. The stock hasn't performed relative to a clutch of companies, and there are various reasons for this, but the stock has just not performed relative to a lot of companies in this space. This one, today at least, should see a positive. The third top one on my list, I don't have graphics for the same, but I want to mark India Cements. So I was thinking of ITC, but I want to mark India Cements. Now, why is it that I'm saying that India Cements? Because the CCI approval for the open offer, the mandatory open offer, has come in, and therefore there will be a mandatory open offer from Ultratech for India Cements. Had to be completed within 6 months. The 6 months timeline ended on will end on January 27th. So technically, in about a month's time, you have the open offer. The open offer is at 390. The current price is at 339. So depend on the acceptance ratio, of course, but you will probably see some arbitrage player. So don't be surprised if India Cements has a small uptick in the session today. Remember, not everybody who buys all the shares of India Cements will be able to tender at 390. There will be an acceptance, so on and so forth, but it still could be interesting. So keep an eye out for India Cements. There might be a bit of an uptick in the session today on this one. So Tamara, these are my top three, but just that there are so many stocks in focus today.
Yeah, quite a few that we need to talk about. I mean, just one more thing on the GST. There was no mention of any clarity, negative or positive, for your food deliveries. So that might see some movement. The sale of used cars being taxed further might see some action as well, but perhaps not as much. We'll get to